Hey guys, and welcome to my video explaining why Protection Paladin is the best solo play tank currently in the game right now. As of patch 8.1.5, I do think Prot Pally is definitely the best tank to be playing as a kind of solo player. Any tank that you really want to play can be viable with a healer. However, in a lot of these videos that I'll be kind of talking about the tanks, I'll be explaining why they're good, why they're bad, and the situation with all of these is your solo play. Sure, you have teammates, but ideally this is the situation of you don't have a healer following you around all the time, so you're only going to be relying on yourself and your self heals. So with that out of the way, let's go into talents and then just kind of rotation, and then we'll talk about the strengths first and the weaknesses after, if there are any of Prot Pally, which there really aren't. Holy Shield. Your block chance is increased by 15%. It's just a flat block increase, so you're going to be blocking more melee attacks. You can also block spells now, and each block will deal about 1,000 holy damage. In every battleground, I find Holy Shield actually towards the top of my DPS, right next to Judgment, if not above Judgment. So pretty much always take this in any PvE or PvP situation. Crusaders Judgment is the best choice here, the main reason being our Judgment hits for 7,000 and also heals lowest health teammates, so that's really useful. It also reduces the cooldown of our Hammer of Justice, which is our Hodge, or our Stun if you don't know what that means. And that is through this talent. Judgment reduces the remaining cooldown of Hodge by 6 seconds, so if we use this Hodge, we'll throw, say, 2 Judgments out, throw a Consecration up, throw an Avenger Shield out, and throw another Judgment out, and it's already about at half the cooldown of what it was originally, so that's why I take that talent. We also have Blessing of Spell Warding, Cavalier, or Retribution, or you'll probably be switching between these two the most. Most times I do take Blessing of Spell Warding. Pretty much does the opposite of a Blessing of Protection. You'll be immune to magical effects, but not melee effects. If you're against a melee heavy team, you're probably going to want to take Blessing of Protection over Blessing of Spell Warding. If you're against a caster team, you're going to be taking Blessing of Spell Warding over Blessing of Protection. For the 75 row, you can take Hand of the Protector. I did take Hand of the Protector a decent amount before, but now that the healing has been nerfed of our self-heal, I most of the time take Unbreakable Spirit because it reduces the cooldown of a lot of our main abilities, such as Divine Shield, Ardent Defender, and Lay on Hands, which I'll get into later. For the 90 row, it should be noted that these two are probably the viable choices. However, I do take Judgment of Light most times, since most teammates will have a slow that they will apply to whatever target you're hitting. However, in the situation where you don't have a teammate, and you're really just, 1v1ing someone, and if you're not taking Consecrated Ground, they can literally, for the most part, just run the other way and just kind of get away from you if you're not taking this. So, if you're playing with a teammate that slows a decent amount, then maybe, Judgment of Light's not that bad, but if you're literally going for 1v1 situations where you want people to not be able to get away, then I would suggest Consecrated Ground here. For the 100 row, you literally only take Righteous Protector, Shield of the Righteous, which is your damage mitigation spell, which increases armor by 9,000, makes you have a decent amount. Okay, 71% physical damage reduction. Reduces the cooldown of Avenging Wrath, which is your wings, and it also reduces the cooldown of your self-heals, which is obviously your self-heals. Let's get into honor talents that are noteworthy. Judgment of the Pure I think is really nice because you're casting Judgments so often, and if you're the only ally within your 40-yard range, you'll get healed by Judgment for 5,000, which is pretty useful. The other choice here, or the other thing I take here, is Guardian of Forgotten Kings, which is I don't even know what it replaces, to be honest, because I take it all the time. Okay, so it replaces a 50% damage reduction with a complete immunity, for the most part, that you can cast on other allies as well. Also on a 2-minute less cooldown than the previous. Let me make sure of that. 5 minutes down to 3 minutes with an immunity that can also be casted on a friendly target. Yeah, that's all I really need to say about that. Shield of the Virtue. When activated, your next Avenger Shield, which is your ranged throwy shield thingy, that thing right there, will interrupt and silence all enemies within 8 yards of the target. So let's say there's a caster, just clump of casters right there. There's 3 healers there or whatever. Pretty much I only use this on healers because it's an interrupt. Just silences people. Accidentally uses wings, I guess that's cool. I was gonna actually kind of try to hurt myself, but now we can't use our self heals because your heal is buffed by the amount of health you're missing. So I was gonna like jump off the cliff from up here, down here a few times, and then just cast wings and throw a heal out. But without any missing health, it crits for 63,000, which means it'll hit for probably 30,000. This will always, always, always be increased by the amount of missing health you have. And now we can get into the kind of rotation slash what you'd want to be doing. It should be noted that Consecration reduces damage you take by 6%, so you're going to want to stand in Consecration as much as possible, but most of the time it's kind of like, I don't have any buttons to press, so I'll press Consecration. Unless you're really getting focused, then you're probably going to want to do, hey, let me use Consecration so I take reduced damage. And then most of the time, when you are standing when you're standing in a Consecration, you're going to probably want to use Shield of the Righteous to reduce that physical damage you're taking, and also increase your armor. And then pretty much just the Consecration, Shield of the Righteous will reduce damage enough to, you know, mitigate most of the damage. On top of that, obviously your Judgment just hits like a truck naturally. I'm going to try to reduce the cooldown of my Shield of the Righteous here. Or not Shield of the Righteous, my Avenger Shield as much as possible. Your Judgment also reduces the cooldown of your Shield of the Righteous by 2 seconds for a crit. So pretty much anytime you use Judgment, you'll be effectively reducing the cooldown of your damage mitigation and also reducing the cooldown of your Avenging Wrath. So that's kind of where it kind of weaves together. Playstyle slash game design wise or class design wise. And really your only damaging ability, for the most part, that you want to get off all the time is a Judgment, because it hits for 14,000 non-crits, 7,000 crits. Sorry, 14,000 crits, 7,000 crits. And I mean, Hammer of the Righteous isn't that bad. But Shield of the Righteous hits a decent amount as well, but should really only be used for the damage mitigation. Avenger's Shield is really only used for the interrupt and whenever Grand Crusader procs, but whenever Grand Crusader procs, your Judgment will also proc and give you one Judgment cast, so you're going to use Judgment over Avenger's Shield whenever it procs anyway, but if you don't have anything else to press, Avenger's Shield isn't that bad, also does decent damage. You can also kind of play like a ranged class. You'll notice that the range of Judgments, I believe it's 30 yards, which is absolutely absurd for a tank spec. Yeah, it's a hefty range, so you can pretty much try and kill casters if you really want to. We'll kind of showcase the, not burst potential, but the damage of a Judgment buffed by Avenging Wrath. 9,000. With Trinket, with a good stat Trinket, you could probably be hitting 10,000s. Yeah, that's all I really wanted to show you guys. The Judgment hits like a truck. And then obviously you gain crit heals every time. So whenever you use Avenging Wrath, the first Lithe Protector that you will use will always crit. So really you want to use Avenging Wrath when you're really low on health. Say you're at 25% health, you use Avenging Wrath, you use Lithe Protector, you'll probably get about 100,000 of your health back, which is really, really crazy to think about, but it's not as bad as it was in the previous patch to this patch. Also worth mentioning, your damage mitigation slash damage immunity spells are absolutely absurd as a Prot Pally. So you have Ardent Defender, reduces all damage taken by 20%. While Ardent Defender is active, the next attack that would otherwise kill you will instead bring you to 20% of your max health. So you can use this with wings if you really want. But this is like super risky, and I never actually do it myself, but if you want to go all the way to no health, or essentially no health, use Ardent Defender, get it to proc to 20%, use your wings, use Lithe Protector, you pretty much get a second life without having to use Lay on Hands or Bubble, or Guardian of the Forgotten Queen or anything like that. Not talking about Ardent Defender, obviously we have this immunity spell, which just makes you immune, also does not proc Forbearance and can be used on allies. We have Lay on Hands, which can be used on allies and heals them for, obviously, all of their max health. We also have Bubble, which can be used, which is another immunity, and if you're a Zandalari troll, you can use your Regeneratin, which got interrupted by my Trinket. But Regeneratin heals you for 100% of your max health, which should be used in Bubble almost every time. And then the other immunity spell that we do have is Blessing of Spell Warding slash Blessing of Protection, which, depending on which one you have, will make you immune to physical or magical damage. The really only downfall to Prot Pally is our movement. Our mobility is really, really bad if you aren't taking the consecrated ground. You're going to be pretty much getting kited if you really chase someone, which you really shouldn't be chasing someone as a Prot Pally. But yeah, that's where it falls down, but very, very little shortcomings for how strong this class is, honestly. Or Spec, sorry. I say class sparingly. But yeah, just Judgment. You'll work things out. Judgment and Shield of the Righteous and Avenging Wrath, and you'll kill someone, don't worry. And to be honest, I do think this is the best tank spec that's been out for a while now. I think it definitely overshadows pretty much any other tank spec in the game right now. But there are kind of close ones, the other close ones being Blood DK, Guardian Druid. Other than that, I'd say it really outshines. The classes, or the specs that this outshines, are the shitty tanks. And the shitty tanks are Prot Warrior, Brewmaster, and Vengeance Demon Hunter. The class that it still outshines is... Fuck. The spec that it still outshines, but not as much, are Guardian Druid and Blood DK. Other than that, this is without a doubt the best tank spec in my opinion for PvP solo play. But thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, description, bell thing. I'll see you guys some other time.